Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. Child tax credit, new update address feature available with IRS online portal. Make other changes by August 30th for September payment. IR 2021-171, August 20th, 2021, Washington. The Internal Revenue Service has launched a new feature allowing any family receiving monthly child tax credit payments to quickly and easily update their mailing address using the Child Tax Credit Update portal. There's a link to the Child Tax Credit Update portal here. It's found exclusively on the IRS website, IRS.gov, IRS.gov. So quick update on the prepayments of this credit. We've probably heard about it at this point, but just a recap of it. They increased the amount of the child tax credit, which normally you don't get until filing the tax return, which means for tax year 2021, you wouldn't have gotten the credit until filing the tax return by April 15th of 2022. But they made a portion of it a prepayment portion. In order to do that, they made the credit larger, so it would have been a bigger credit, or it is a bigger credit, but they're going to give a prepayment portion of it out. They made more of it refundable, meaning more of it will then be there even if your tax liability goes to zero. That makes it easier for them to calculate the prepayment portion and estimate it. Then, in essence, I believe they divided it by two. They took half of it, and they allocated that half out into payments for the end of 2021. So now we're looking at those payments that are going out for the year 2021, which are kind of tied to the tax return for 2021, which normally isn't filed until the following year, which would be April 15th, deadline of 2022. Now, we've seen this strategy before because this is kind of a similar strategy they've been doing with the stimulus payments, sending them out and then basically tying them to the tax return after that in the form of recovery rebate credits. We've also kind of seen it when we think about like health insurance and stuff. If you're in the marketplace and you get a prepayment for the amount going to your health insurance premiums. And so we've seen this kind of system before. It seems to be something that they're relying more and more on. And we've seen inevitable kind of problems with it because although it's fairly good system if you're trying to get this money out, but it has inevitable kind of problems because you have to estimate the amount of the prepayment based on prior year tax returns. And when you're sending the money out, then you got to make sure that you're getting the money to the right place. One thing that could happen is people want to change the place that they're sending the money to, whether they're getting electronic payments or whether they're changing the location for their mailing address. So it looks like if you're moving around and you would like to then say, hey, I would like you to send the money to some other address, you now are able to do this on the portal at this point in time. So that's where we're at here. So this feature will help any family that chooses to receive their payment by paper check avoid mailing delays or even having a check returned as undeliverable. Any family can easily have their September check and all future checks sent to their new address by using the portal to make an address change request. It seems like this would be one of the more easy things for them to have set up. It took them a while to kind of set this one up. But in any case, if you need to change the address so that they send the money to the right place, then you have the ability to do so at this point. So to have the change take effect in September, people need to complete the request before midnight Eastern Time on Monday, August 30th. Families can still make changes after that date, but the request will not be effective until the next scheduled monthly payment. If you change your mailing address using the Child Tax Credit Update portal, the IRS will use this update address for all future IRS correspondence, so the address change feature can also be helpful to taxpayers that are receiving payments by direct deposit. So it can be a useful change because it looks like if you change the address here, it will be impactful for other areas as well. So even if you're getting a direct deposit type of information, meaning you don't need them to send the check to your actual address, you might still want to notify them if you are at a different address than you have on record with the IRS, because when they send you other things, like for this year, they're going to have to send out verifications most likely for the payments that they have sent out for prepayments. It's kind of like getting a 1099 you would expect from someone that you earn money from, or like a W-2 to help report this taxable information that this time has come directly from the IRS, from the government itself, to help you to prepare your taxes for 2021 in April 15th of 2022. So, for example, the IRS will mail a year-end summary statement, letter 6419, to all taxpayers who have received advanced child tax credit payments during 2021, and having a current address on file with the IRS will ensure prompt delivery of this statement. So you don't want to miss your letter 6419. But note that a lot of this information might be able to be found on your portal now. So they're trying to update your online portal. So hopefully these prepayments, these stimulus payments, any estimated payments that you make can more easily be found actually by logging into the IRS portal. That said, however, you still, of course, want to have the updated address with the IRS going forward. So families will receive letter 6419 to quickly and accurately fill out their 2021 federal income tax return next year. So you can imagine what's going to happen with these prepayments. It does complicate the whole process a little bit, but you get prepayments, so I guess it's worth it, right? But what's going to happen? Well, when you file the tax return in 2022 by April 15th, then you're going to have to calculate your credit like you normally would, which would be, it was like $2,000 per child last year. It's going to be increased this year. But then you got prepayments, which I believe it should calculate, if they got it right, if they got the calculation right, I believe it should be half of the credit you got in prepayments. Therefore, you have to determine how much they sent you in prepayments, subtract that from the total credit that you would have gotten if you didn't have any prepayments, and then the difference you would expect would be the further benefit that you would get on the tax return when filing it by April 15th of 2022. That's what I would expect the process to be. Therefore, this letter is going to help with that verification process, or again, you should be able to find this information on your IRS portal account, which I think is becoming more and more something that I would recommend getting access to, because it just looks like it's going to be more and more useful going forward. So this is important because for most families, the advance payments are receiving during 2021 cover only half of the total credit. They will claim the remaining portion on their 2021 tax return. The address change features joins a growing set of services available through the Child Tax Credit Update portal. Available only on IRS.gov, IRS.gov. The portal already allows families to verify their eligibility for the payments, and then, if they choose to, switch from receiving paper check to direct deposit. So if you want to go on this portal as well and say, I don't want the paper check, I want a direct deposit, then you could do that change. For some reason, they got that change in there like a while ago, but they couldn't do the address change, which, I mean, you would think the address change you would think you could do an address change on your own portal when you log in. So I don't know why the address change took so long personally, but whatever. It is what it is. In any case, you can also change the account where their payment is direct deposited. So you can change the accounts. You can also stop monthly payments for the rest of 2021. So if you're saying, hey, I don't want any more money from the IRS, stop sending me checks, you could stop it. You could stop them. And that seems odd, like you would want to do that. But there are times when you might want to do that. So, for example, if you think they're sending you checks for a child tax credit you're not actually going to qualify for when you file the tax return in 2022 by April 15th for the tax year 2021, due to perhaps having a dependent on the 2020 tax return, which resulted in the IRS depending on that information to send out the prepayments, which you will not have on the tax return in 2021, possibly due to joint custody or something where the child is going from one tax return to the other. Then you might say, hey, IRS, don't send me the prepayments because I'm not going to have the credit, and you would expect that you would have to pay the money back or lower the amount of your refund or have an amount due when you file the tax return, unless the IRS makes some law change at the end of the year and says, nah, we sent you money out and you didn't qualify, we're not going to ask for it back, which they haven't done at this point, but I wouldn't be surprised because they kind of did that with the insurance payments if you got the whole thing. So they kind of have a precedent of doing that, but I wouldn't depend on it, but I wouldn't be surprised, but in any case, any of these changes made before midnight Eastern time on August 30th will apply to the September 15th payment and all subsequent monthly payments scheduled for October 15th, November 15th, and December 15th. Future enhancements are planned for the child tax credit portal. So they're still doing stuff to it. It's a very advanced portal they're going to have here. The portal is going to be bigger than their entire website when they're done with this thing. Any case, later this year, the families will also be able to use the update portal to add or remove children in most situations. So again, that would be useful, right? Because you might be in a situation where one child was on the tax return last year and they're not going to be on the tax return in the following year, but you don't want to remove the payments entirely because possibly other childs were qualified and so on and so forth. So hopefully they pick that up. That would be nice. Report a change in the marital status. So that could impact things as well, the marital status. Report a significant change in income, which the income's important because it could result in a phase out in terms of how much of the credit you would qualify for. So that's another area of problems whenever they have these prepayments that are based on the prior year tax return. They got rid of one problem by making the entire thing refundable. So you don't have a problem with part of it being refundable, meaning your tax liability goes below zero and they still give out the payment. They don't have that problem because they made the whole thing refundable, but you still got this income limitation thing that's a problem because there's a phase out if your income goes above a certain threshold. And they still, of course, have the problem where what if you have a dependent on the prior year that's not on the following year and that kind of thing that we're going to have to deal with. So latest information for the child tax credit payments on IRS.gov. The IRS has created a special Advanced Child Tax Credit 2021 page designed to provide the most up-to-date information about the credit and advance payments. For more information, visit IRS.gov/Child Tax Credit 2021. There's a link to that link here. The webpage now features an updated set of frequently asked questions, so you can check that out. Why? Because there's a link here. That's how you can do it. And the new publication 5549 IRS User Guide Child Tax Credit Update Portal. There's a link to that here. It also provides direct links to the portal as well as 2 other online tools, the non-filer sign-up tool and the Child Tax Credit Eligibility Assistant and other useful resources. There's a link to all that wonderful information here, and there'll be a link to this in the description.